Hello and a warm welcome to the July 2026 edition of the Macro and Market Update. This month, we take a stock of the de-escalation of the Iran conflict, the new Fed chair and his policy guidance, measures taken by the RBI to attract dollar capital inflows, and the implications of global and domestic developments for the Indian fixed income and equity outlook. Let us begin with the apparent end of the Iran war and what it means for the global economy. At the moment, the official narrative is that the conflict is winding down and a broader agreement has emerged. While there is naturally some skepticism, markets tend to respond to the direction of events rather than waiting for an absolute certainty. If this peace holds, the global economy may simply return to the trends that were already underway before the conflict disrupted the sentiment. And those trends are quite important. Before the conflict, we were witnessing a gradual shift in global capital flows. Investors were reducing their overweight position in the US and reallocating towards Europe and Asia. Interestingly, US markets were still rising, but they were underperforming many international markets. The reason was simple. Fears of a global recession were fading. If geopolitical tensions continue to ease, these pre-conflict trends could re-emerge, potentially from more attractive valuation levels after the recent volatility. Now, let us turn to oil, which remains central to the global growth and inflation narrative. The most likely outcome is neither a sharp spike in prices nor a collapse. Instead, oil may remain within a relatively stable range. China has become an important stabilizing force in global energy markets. When prices fall, China tends to step up purchases and rebuild inventories. When prices rise significantly, demand moderates. This dynamic could keep oil within a sustainable range, high enough to support producer profitability, but not so high as to damage global growth. Such an environment is favorable not only for traditional oil producers, but also for renewable energy, nuclear power, energy infrastructure, and related services. This brings us to perhaps the most important theme, a global investment boom. Across the world, capital requirements are rising sharply. Governments are increasing defense spending. Energy infrastructure requires both expansion and modernization. Artificial intelligence is driving massive investments in data centers and power generation. At the same time, parts of the Middle East could see significant reconstruction activity. Together, these trends imply one key point. Global demand for capital is likely to remain strong. This is why the story may not be one of disinflation and falling interest rates. In fact, it could be quite the opposite. Many investors associate peace with lower inflation. However, even in a more stable geopolitical environment, governments continue to run large deficits and investment demand remains elevated. As a result, we may enter a phase characterized by strong growth alongside persistently elevated inflation. If that happens, interest rates could remain higher for longer. The challenge is that governments today carry significantly higher debt burdens. Historically, highly indebted economies rarely resolve debt through austerity alone. More often, the adjustment comes through a combination of economic growth and moderate inflation. In other words, nominal growth becomes the solution. To summarize, The end of the conflict could allow markets to refocus on long-term trends. Oil prices are likely to remain stable rather than extreme. A global investment cycle appears to be building. Inflation may stay higher than expected, and interest rates could remain elevated for longer. In such an environment, industrial metals could emerge as key beneficiaries. Long duration bonds continue to look less attractive. Gold can still perform well, especially if the US dollar remains sideways, but may not outperform assets that are directly linked to the industrial demand. Let us now turn to the second theme, the US Federal Reserve under its new chair, Kevin Warsh. We are beginning to see the first signals from the new leadership and what it may imply for interest rates. The policy rate is currently on hold at 3.5 to 3.75%, but the bias has shifted away from rate cuts towards the possibility of hikes. We remain skeptical about any rate hike in 2026. The Fed is clearly moving towards less forward guidance and greater data dependence. While the 2% inflation target remains unchanged for now, there are early signs of a more flexible interpretation over time. In essence, the Warsh Fed is not dramatically changing policy, but it is changing communication, and that in itself can have a meaningful impact on markets. Turning to India, the RBI has rolled out a comprehensive set of measures to attract dollar inflows, which is broadly in line with market expectations. The underlying issue is straightforward. India's balance of payments has remained under pressure over the past 2 years. Capital flows weakened and the rupee came under stress. The RBI's response has been to actively attract foreign capital, thereby stabilizing the currency without resorting to aggressive rate hikes. At the center of this strategy is the FCNRB deposit scheme, under which the RBI absorbs the full hedging cost for banks, mobilizing dollar deposits from non-resident Indians. This makes the scheme significantly more attractive and could potentially bring into the north of US $40 billion, as is market expectation right now. In addition, public sector entities have been given a concessional window to raise funds overseas via external commercial borrowings with partial hedging support. This could add another $10 to $15 billion. Supporting measures include tax exemptions for foreign investors in government bonds, expansion of the fully accessible route, easing of NRI investment rules, and shorter timelines for export proceeds repatriation. Taken together, these measures could bring in at least $60 billion in the near term, with potential to rise to even $80 to $100 billion in a more optimistic scenario. These inflows are critical because they alter the near-term macro narrative. The balance of payments could move closer to balance or even a small surplus. This directly supports the rupee, and there is also a strong signaling effect. Markets are likely to interpret levels around 96 against US dollar as a near-term anchor. It could even be a bit lower. Banking system liquidity could expand to rupees 8 to 9 trillion, supporting money market conditions and compressing short-end yields. In the near term, the setup is clearly supportive. Strong liquidity, stable currency, and softer yields. However, these benefits are likely to be transient. Structural challenges remain. The current account is still sensitive to oil prices, FDI flows remain weak, and global capital is becoming more selective. Moreover, the build-up in FX reserves also brings with it rising forward liabilities. In effect, the RBI has bought time but not solved the underlying problem. The key takeaway is that these measures are effective for near-term stabilization, but sustainability will depend on fundamentals, especially durable capital flows, global risk appetite, and the trajectory of oil prices. The rate market remains constructive in the near term, especially supported by improving liquidity, favorable demand-supply dynamics, and expectations that the RBI will keep rates unchanged in the immediate policy. While inflation is currently tracking forecasts, risks from the monsoon, food prices, and crude oil remain. Globally, however, conditions are becoming less supportive, with central banks maintaining a hawkish stance. As a result, investors have selectively increased duration to benefit from the near-term optimism while remaining cautious on the medium-term outlook. The next few months could remain supportive for bonds, though inflation and global rates may pose challenges over the next 6 to 12 months. Finally, on Indian equities, macro and earnings uncertainties over the past recent months have brought valuations closer to historical averages. Our preferred metric, that is, earning yield relative to bond yield, indicates that valuations have moderated meaningfully from their 2024 highs. Relative underperformance versus emerging market has also led to a correction in India's valuation premium. At the same time, sentiment, as measured by our proprietary equity sentiment index, has cooled from the earlier extremes. Our asset allocation framework continues to favor a 60-40 equity fixed income allocation versus a 50-50 benchmark, with return expectations in the early teens for large cap equities. Market internals also continue to support a preference for large caps, particularly given low dispersion. We maintain a bias towards companies with pricing power and a strong balance sheet in the current environment. In summary, the near-term setup can best be described as one of cautious optimism. Signing off for this month. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.